right.
Hey, good morning.
We made it.
Oh, look at that. Every week almost. Good morning. Welcome to episode 8 of the Morning Blend. How was y'all's weekend?
Ooh, it was pretty good, pretty good. Hung out. Of course, tried to get some relaxation, but son had a track meet. So we were traveling a little bit, but that was okay. It was good times. Good
Yeah,
times.
sports keeps you going.
That's right. I don't know what we're going to do once the kids are all done. We may have some time to, I don't know, have some of our own adventures, I guess, me and the missus. But right now it's all about the kiddos.
It is. It is. I remember looking at other people running around doing the whole traveling ball thing with their kids. And this was before my kids were really old enough, to play. And I was like, that will not be my life. I am not doing all that traveling and running the roads. And as soon as my kids were old enough to play, they wanted to play. So guess what we were doing?
On the road.
Traveling, running the roads. Running the roads. So that's a lesson for you. Don't ever say what you're not going to do.
Right, never say never.
Yep. All right, so the question of the day today. We got a pretty packed agenda for today. Mm-hmm. If you could be any age, what would you choose?
Any age?
Any age.
Oh, there we go. Oh, I think Cameron should start this one.
Okay. I'll give it a go. I actually asked this question to one of my girlfriends Thursday night, and we both said at the same time 17.
17?
Really?
And I think it's because we're both sort of entering, adult life, and we kind of miss the simplicity from being 17. Your only responsibility going to school, doing fun extracurriculars and everything. So we just kind of missed that extra time that you could have with your friends and, just being a hooligan, I guess. So,
Hooligan.
So we both said 17. I'm sure as I get older, my answer will change. But that actually is my golden age, 17. Have y'all heard of that before?
Yeah.
Because I was born on July 17th.
Yeah,
so.
that's right.
Huh.
Yeah, technically it's my golden age. But yeah, I had a lot of fun that year. So
it was a
Age
memorable
17.
time.
yes.
Wow.
I was wondering what age you would choose.
Yeah, I guess when it comes to, I don't know, just the simplicity and being young and just, being very energetic, having that energy. I would run like all day, like go to school early in the morning, go to band practice, go to work, go to dance. Like it was packed today. I wouldn't get home till like 11 o'clock and I would just get up and do it all over again the next day. So
you had the energy too.
Yes.
You're saying that life was more exciting then? Is that what you're...
It seemed more exciting. Looking back though, it's like, well, not that much was going on.
But you didn't have as much responsibility then.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to say, this is going to sound silly, but the age I remember the most, no, that's a bad way to say it. Not the one I remember the most, but the one that comes to mind is the age of 3. And the reason why, I remember when I turned 3, first of all, I was a spoiled little boy. I had, I was one of the few boys in the family of a bunch of girls. So, if you're the only boy, everybody's like, oh, he's the prince, and all this. So that was one thing.
He's the prince, Cameron.
Right.
I am not going to let him
Look, it's been a long time since those days, right? Don't let my mama get on the show. She'll tell you something. She's got some stories. Anyway, but when I turned 3, I remember being at daycare, which was family owned. So, again, I got all the extra privileges that all the other kids didn't. And I got a Pac-Man birthday cake. A big yellow cake with, the mouth cut out of it and everything.
Oh my gosh.
And it was a fun time. And I just remember at that age, I probably could get anything I wanted. I just asked a question and boom, there it was for me. So I don't know. That was a good time. You
were a cute little kid and you just could bat your eyes.
Right.
That was it.
A long way from being cute nowadays. But yeah, way back when I could get away with murder and it didn't matter. So
and I'm pretty sure you probably did get away with murder.
Right.
That is funny. Well, I'm going all the way to the opposite end. I am going to say 40-something because that's, I think, the era of when I started coming into my sense of self and started to relax layers of letting what others think of me be most important. In my 40s, I started to begin to not care about other people's opinions and started focusing on what I thought of myself. And so, I wish that would have happened a whole lot earlier in life. I tried to raise my kids with a sense of self as they were growing up so that they didn't have that struggle. I blame that on my mother and my grandmother and all the older people in my life.
Hopefully they're
Now,
not listening.
I sound like my kids now. Yeah, but yeah, I mean, we've talked about that because, raised under that children were seen and not heard
Right.
type of environment. And it was really great in a lot of ways. I see a lot of benefit from my upbringing. But the one way that it wasn't so great is that we didn't get a chance to practice expression. And so you kind of grew up without having that sense of confidence in who you were.
Yes.
Yeah. And to make mistakes. We were, I grew up very, on that merit system. You mattered if you were doing well.
You have points. It's kind of, yeah.
Yeah. So.
Gotcha.
Those in the chat, or if anybody watching on YouTube Live, if you would like to participate, the question of the day is, if you could be any age, what age would you choose? So please chime in if you would care to do so.
Absolutely. And before we move on to our news segment today, I want to discuss our mugs.
Did you see what happened there? I don't know if you saw it. Did you see how the hand, if y'all could rewind, the hand kind of slowly came across and it flashed the ring? And
You know it.
Yes.
My mug, it says rise and grind, which is,
There you
I feel
go.
like the mood for today.
That's our
especially-
life.
Yeah, we just get up and run. So
That's our life.
rise, grind.
Don't get all choked up, Ryan. Don't get all choked up now.
I think my body is rejecting that entire notion of rise and grind on a Monday. Oh my God.
Cameron, you struck a chord over
Oh
here.
gosh.
Goodness, never mind. We're not rising. We're not grinding. No.
Yes, we are.
Yeah.
We don't have a choice. That is who
Yeah,
we are.
It is. But yeah, you're right. We don't have a choice.
Don't try to drink tea and listen at the same time, apparently.
Too
Listen
many
to
things
something
at
that
once.
you obviously vehemently disagree with.
I'm fine, I promise.
Ryan's more of a rise and then chill for a little bit, then grind later.
Yeah, we'll get to that later in the day. That's right.
That is too funny.
Oh, gosh.
All right, so Cameron's cup was noteworthy. I pulled out my, what is this, my Junior League cup today because I'm drinking tea instead of coffee. Tea, I don't mind getting kind of warm, and I can kind of drink it room temperature. Coffee is a whole other thing.
Gotta be hot.
I have to have that insulated cup that keeps it hot.
Yes.
Yeah, so I'm in my Junior League mug today. What are you, Ryan? Your Delta mug?
Yeah, plain Jane, Delta mug. Let's back to basics. That's what
You're
we're
in your
gonna do.
Delta mug because you're a Delta mug.
Oh, see, here we go.
Oh,
I wonder if we
get
should
the
move on
news.
to the segment. Yeah.
All right, coming up
What we
on
got?
news.
What we got?
So first, this was mentioned in our planning moment by, I think, Mr. Ryan Pierce said something about the Momentum Conference that Dean Boone is going to.
Right. Actually, yeah, it was just a note. I was thinking about what was happening on kind of the academic side and things that I had heard about. And certainly there is a conference or a higher education summit this week, the Momentum Summit. And really, the blurb is, with talent development as its North Star, the Regent's master plan includes an attainment goal of 60% of Louisiana's working-aged adults holding a credential of value by 2030. So this is a statewide initiative across all universities and community colleges. And the Louisiana Momentum Framework is aligned to support that goal, as well as the systems and institutions' overall student success efforts. And the framework engages institutions in focusing on our 4 critical areas of the student experience, which are choices, pathways, milestones, and engagement. And those are the main threads in that structure. And so this actually is the
Those are some heavy duty topics.
yeah, I
right
think
there.
last year the summit was held and it really tried to engage the highest levels of administration, so chancellors and presidents and vice presidents and vice chancellors and so on. But this time around, it's more focused on the deans, division chair types, and even faculty and staff advisors, student affairs leaders, and that kind of thing. So I know that Mr. Boone, our superhero dean of instruction, is going to be there. I'm not sure if anybody else is going to be there, but I know he'll be there. So we appreciate him, and we look forward to what he's going to bring back to Delta as it relates to this type of information.
And that was in regards to students' right choices and
Right.
those
Yeah,
topics.
we're setting the course
I'd
to the
be
success.
interested in hearing about the engagement. You know, that engagement is an opportunity and a challenge for lots of different organizations. Getting people connected and staying connected, especially through to completion of a thing, is so critically important to the life of the institution. I mean, because the people are the lifeblood, and if they don't stay connected to complete, then the institution can kind of lose its mission in that.
Right. And speaking of connection, again, bringing it back to why we are doing what we do here this morning is the same idea. And we do have some connection on the chat right now, believe it or not.
Whoa.
I believe Mr. J.J. Kwashnok is watching from afar in Pennsylvania. And so we say thank you. He says, good morning, Delta. So good morning, J.J.
Good morning, JJ.
Anybody else, everybody can chime in. Of course, just let us know how you feel and your thoughts in the chat. All right, so we talked about momentum. What else do we have?
See it. Next up we have the MLT equipment drop-off that happened this week. And I actually have a video of the whole process of it being dropped off that I want to show y'all. And just keep in mind, this piece of equipment costs about $250,000.
Wow.
So there you can see Dr. Alicia Jones with the Abbott Alinity M. This is a molecular diagnostics analyzer that hospitals and labs use around the world to amplify DNA. And LDCC is the only institution in the U.S. that has this machine for education of lab professional purposes only. So it has the capacity to process 300 samples in 8 hours, which is apparently the fastest on the market.
Wow.
Yes, and testing options include COVID-19, CMV, EBV, hepatitis B and C, HPV, STIs, and HIV-1. So,
I can't wait to see when the whole lab is set up, what it looks like. It's gonna be so exciting. And how great will it be for students to be able to be trained on this equipment? I mean,
it is state of the art, like completely cutting edge technology, and
yes,
I can't believe it either. And just seeing this thing arriving, I mean, it's from overseas, specially built. just the excitement and seeing that in there, in that space that she's building, it's already starting to look like a lab and feel like a lab. So congratulations, Dr. Jones.
Yeah.
Your dream is starting to become realized, and we're so excited because the MLT and MLA program will be launched March 1st for
And
applicants.
that's the medical lab assistant and the medical lab
technician. Yes.
Yeah. And so once the lab is completely set up, we'll bring you footage of that then, and we'll have to have Dr. Jones back on to as it gets closer to March to talk about what all she has and how she's going to be recruiting.
Absolutely.
For that program. So, yay us. Go LDCC.
$300,000 piece of equipment. They
And
had to
we're
take the doors, the frame off,
ones,
everything.
Not
Yes.
in the state, but we're the only ones in the nation who has that machine specifically and only for educational purposes, because there are
Yes.
some research institutions who have it, but we're the only educational only facility who has it in the U.S. Y'all, that's a point of pride right there.
Yes, it is.
Yes.
Definitely.
And thank you all those that are participating in the chat. Apparently I stand corrected. Professor Kwasniok waves at us, but there is someone else that shares his first initial, unless that's him just playing tricks on us, that starts with the letter J and says that's awesome. So glad that you're with us. I don't know who J is. It's not showing up, but
Jay.
whoever J is, we appreciate you
We
watching.
love ya. Oh, yeah, so awesome piece of news there. Next we have the PCT, Patient Care Technician class, happening in Monroe. It is a 6 to 8 week course, Monday through Friday, 8 to 2:30. And applications are due February 12th. But that class, I believe, oh my goodness, it doesn't say when it starts. I believe it starts in March, since applications due February. No, that's wrong. There is a mandatory on the February 19th. On February 19th, there's a mandatory meeting. What is it called? Like not
An interest meeting?
Orientation, maybe.
Orientation.
Okay.
There we go.
Yes. And then soon after that is whenever the classes actually begin, and I will get that date for y'all when they actually start. But
I think the important thing to notice, because typically we don't have the PCT classes here on the Monroe campus, so that's going to be new. So all of you here on the Monroe campus, be aware that or note that we will have a PCT class on this campus starting in March.
yes.
All right.
I found it.
Oh, yay.
Dates February 26th through April 5th.
Awesome.
So the date deadline is, I guess, 2 weeks or so before classes start.
Yes.
But everything starts February 26th.
Absolutely.
A lot of
Thank
good
you,
stuff
Ryan.
out there on the workforce page. Actually, if y'all haven't seen it, go to ladelta.edu/workforce, and you will see all of the classes you can sign up for, short term, and you can get good credentials and get upskilled or reskilled and go to work from those credentials.
Yeah, and a lot of us know people who are looking for ways to make more money or who want to transition to a different career, maybe for that same reason. And that workforce page is a wonderful resource for some short-term training, because not everybody wants to sit and and be in school for 4 years or 6 years to train for something. And the workforce department does offer programs that are as little as 6 weeks. So check it out
Absolutely.
so you can be able to share that.
Next up, we also have LDCC West Monroe is making a food pantry and a clothing closet. They're clearing up some space on their campus to have both of those resources there for students. And they had a work day on Friday to start make it happen.
Oh, wow.
And clean out the space and start setting it up. So hopefully we'll get some more pictures soon and more updates on how that project is going. But just another way we're getting some awesome resources for
And
students.
you can donate gently used business clothes to the clothing closet,
Yes.
as well as food to the food pantry.
Yes, that is very encouraged. Absolutely. So yeah, go West Monroe. And then finally, we have our new QEP lead in that position,
Mr. Harold Eckert.
Yes, Harold.
Congratulations, Harold.
All right. And if you didn't know what Harold looks like, he's up on the screen for you right
Yes.
now. What a lovely picture.
It's almost like he's here with us.
I'm telling you. I hope he's watching. If not, I will share the link with him because he needs to see this.
Absolutely.
Congrats, Harold. All right, and
That is all of our
Dewanna
news.
Temple.
Oh, yes, one more piece of news.
Yeah, Dewanna Temple is retiring, and we're going to be so sad to see her go because she has been on the Tallulah and the Lake Providence campus for a number of years and has so contributed to the mission of LDCC in those areas. In fact, one of her coworkers sent in these words for Dewanna. I think Dewanna Temple should be recognized for all the hard work and dedication that she has put forth for Louisiana Delta Community College. As her retirement date is rapidly moving closer, I would like to personally say thank you for your contributions, dedication, and hard work. Before becoming employed with LDCC, I was actually a student here, and Miss Temple was the one that always made life easier, from enrollment to financial aid to just being there to vent and offer an ear to listen. She always made things better. She was always there to encourage me and reminded me that I could do this, not only to me, but to any other student that she comes in contact with. Now that I get to have her as a coworker, I still see all the hats that she puts on just to get a student enrolled or help they need to pursue their education. Being at a smaller campus, none of us just do our own particular job. We all do whatever is needed to get the students everything they need to get enrolled, registered, financial aid, advised, etc. And I know we will all feel lost in her absence because she played a huge role at the Tallulah and Lake Providence campus. Sometimes I know that we all may feel our work may be unnoticed, but I want to personally take this time to wish Miss Temple well and remind her that she was an inspiration to me, and I am forever grateful to call her my friend. And that was sent in by Stacy Sandage. Dewanna, we are going to miss you. You have been all that Stacy has described in her note to you, and your presence will definitely be missed. I think her retirement, her last day is Friday of this week, I believe.
Okay.
Yeah.
What a beautiful message for her.
Yeah.
A beautiful tribute.
Yes. Thank you, Miss Dewanna, for all of your service throughout the years.
Yes, thank you.
We appreciate you.
All right, so we're heading down to In Case You Missed It.
What you don't see off camera is Cameron dancing and bouncing in her chair whenever the music plays.
Calling me out.
He sure did.
It is so cute to see.
Well, you know, you gotta dance a little bit. You know,
That's right.
Keep the spirits up.
That's right.
Wave that ring.
Yeah, exactly. Any excuse. For our first, in case you missed it, our West Monroe SGA senators swore in last week. You can see our pictures up. And they are just our new senators for the LDCC West Monroe campus. And we just want to say congratulations to them. David Payne and Misty Moore and Dr. Thomas all went to the campus to just swear them in. They had an event for it, and I'm about to pull up their names right now so we can congratulate them
That's such a
personally.
special part of that. I mean, you know, they have the elections on the different campuses to be elected to those positions, and the swearing-in ceremony is the icing on the cake for that, and it makes it feel so special. So, yeah, congrats to those guys. Now, who are they?
Jessica Gutierrez, and she's a barber styling student.
All right.
And then Jordan Johnson, a welding student.
All right.
That's awesome. Well, congrats to Jordan and to What was the first one? Jessica?
Jessica, yes.
Jordan and Jessica.
Yes,
Yeah.
J and J.
That's a theme
Sounds like
today,
a good
apparently,
team.
because I'm looking at the
know.
chat and there's J's all over the chat. And wow.
Right. So congratulations to them. We also had at Ruston LDCC, we had a Lincoln Prep come in and take a tour there. That was they just went and saw all the facilities. Different instructors talked to them. And so we just love to see high school students to come see what we have to offer. So
Such a beautiful campus, too.
oh yes, absolutely. It might be one of my favorites for sure. And then after that, we have the Washington, D.C. 2024 Louisiana Economic Development Lunch. So
That's long.
yes. The Northeast region was very well represented because I believe that the region at large was charged with hosting a Mardi Gras luncheon themed, and
I saw the pictures all over Facebook, and I mean, they look like they had such a good time.
I think it was sold out well before the event, so unfortunately we weren't be able to go, but I'm so jealous. I'm so jealous.
And our own SGA president was hobnobbing around with the people, huh?
Yes,
Oh, yeah.
and you can see that in this picture of him.
He's
with
only hanging
Oh,
out
my
with Drew
goodness.
Breeze.
Oh my god.
Yeah, he's only hanging
Just
out
rubbing
with,
some elbows, you know.
yeah, with Breezy.
That's what they're on a first name basis,
Yeah.
you know. He just calls him Drew, but
Wow.
yes, but awesome. I know David loved to be able to go around and hang out.
What a
with-
great experience.
Yes, I mean, awesome. There was the Northeast region just getting kind of their spotlight on the stage, on their national stage in Washington, D.C. Like, that is just a great event. We're so proud to be represented, LDCC to be represented there too. So thank you, David,
Absolutely.
and whoever else got to attend.
The chancellor was there I think he was there for one day. I think he went for one day.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so he got a chance to hang out there too. So yeah.
We love to see it. And then finally, this was something we kind of spotlighted on Facebook, but we had a farm tech student get hired at Communa Health Services.
Yes, that is
Hey.
always exciting news when we hear about our students being, having a great placement. And so this was a place where she actually did her internship, I think.
Yes.
And they decided that she was so great that they wanted to hire her. So yay. So shout out to the farm tech instructor.
Yes,
which is
Misty
the
Moore.
Misty. Yeah. Shout out to you, Misty, because you did some good training.
Absolutely, and having those community connections so that you can plug your students into the community where they need to go and what's a good fit for them. That's a talent all on its own. So we thank you for all the personalized work that you do with these students. But yes, and congratulations to Tognasia Brown for her new job. We hope you love
Right,
it.
this is wonderful.
Congrats.
That's good news.
Yes, and now we have some good upcoming events.
I joined in, y'all. Y'all didn't see it. I like that.
Contagious.
Love it.
I like that little jam we have on that one.
Yeah, that is a good one. Oh, so first up, we have our children's Mardi Gras parade at LDCC Monroe. I don't have a graphic
Sorry.
for that one.
Yeah, it's so cute. They go through the halls and they have on their little costumes, and it is just the cutest thing. So yes, Sandy Clausen organizes that every year with her group of little ones, and so yeah, it's going to be real cute. What day is that?
I'm actually not sure.
Okay,
We
I'm gonna have
threw
to-
it on the agenda, but weren't sure what day it was. So.
Okay.
But everybody, if you hear carnival music in the hallways,
And children's laughter and
and if you get hit in the head with a doubloon or a bead, it's probably this group.
Well, I'll tell you what, Monroe campus people, make sure you read your week at a glance because I'll include it in there. By that time, I will know what day it is.
Yes. And then next up, we have this week the Community Resource Fair. That's on February 7th from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. at the Community Auditorium in the ATC. So we have Louisiana Workforce Commission, American Job Center, and Delta all kind of collaborating to just offer a lot of resources to the community when it comes to jobs and things like that. So
That's a great collaboration. That's a great group.
absolutely. And I think Miss Liz Ford has been heading up this event. And I think we're going to be pretty well represented by a lot of different entities and opportunities for students, but it's open to the public. So if any,
What time is it?
from 10 to 2 p.m.
Yeah, so if you know anyone who is in the market, they're looking for employment or a change in employment, shoot them our way.
Absolutely.
Okay.
We're looking forward to that this Wednesday. And then we also have some workshops coming up this week. First up, we have, and this is from Miss Felicia Rogers, who was on with us last week. So this is her events that we were kind of touching on. The Financial Literacy Workshop, which is free, on February 6th from 3 to 4 p.m. This one's in Monroe at the Anna Meyer Library. Open to anyone who wants to come for absolutely free. Y'all, I cannot stress this enough. Any education concerning financial literacy is just so valuable. I remember in college I took a workshop for financial literacy, and it helped me in so many ways. So I just encourage anyone who is interested, maybe doesn't know a whole lot about budgeting, just come on out.
And that's so critically important.
Yes.
And what's really great about this event is it's out in the community. It's at a local public library.
That is
We're
awesome.
taking it to the streets,
Yes, we're getting out there.
Yes.
Yes, that is awesome.
Absolutely. And if there's anywhere in the community you think that would be a great place to host one, Felicia Rogers, her contact info can be found on a lot of our social media platforms.
I'll put that back up on screen.
Yes, yeah, it's on the screen. So contact her. She is thrilled to schedule a workshop anywhere. She is on a mission.
And I got to send Felicia a shout out too, because, she talked about that Mexican corn dip last week. I put it on my Walmart grocery list, and it is fire. I mean, I ordered the wrong size Fritos, because I wanted Fritos to go with it. I ordered the wrong size, so it was the little ones, and it wasn't the big one. But oh my gosh, it tastes good, hot or cold. But I preferred it hot, and so I heated up, and then when I took it out the microwave, I crunched up, my Fritos in there and ate it with a fork, and oh my gosh, it was so good.
The things that we talk about on this show, it made me think, when you crunched up your Fritos, did you count the number of Fritos you had? Y'all have to go back to episode 1 to get that one, okay?
Go back.
I did not, man, but because I was so captivated by the smell. Because, she said that, they made it healthier, like with yogurt. So I was kind of on the fence about whether or not it was really good.
Right.
It could really be that good. Oh, my gosh, it was good.
That is fabulous.
good.
Shout out Felicia. She knows the snacks.
That will be a regular on my grocery list.
And then next for her, we have digital literacy too. So she is conquering financial and digital literacy in this region. This one is going to be at Tallulah campus, LDCC Tallulah. So that's on February 7th from 1 to 3 p.m. in room 135.
I don't think
around.
Felicia sleeps. You think she
I don't
sleeps?
think she can.
Right. I don't think she can either.
She's probably gotten the most mentions on this show out of anybody. I mean, anybody.
Yeah. Honestly.
I mean, she has a ton going on.
So excellent. We're so happy she's out doing this in the region, and come out and get some digital literacy certification, because this is a certification, y'all. I mean, a certificate, which you can put on resumes and, and stuff like Microsoft Word, even social media, PowerPoint, basic computer, internet basics, just a whole lot of different stuff you can get
you want to
certified in.
upskill or make it official that you have those skills. A certification is a great way to do it.
Yep. Build your brand. And then next up, we have CTE month, which is this month, all month long, and we're celebrating all month long.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we're doing a video campaign on our social media platforms highlighting the different CTE programs that we have here at LDCC, and we have filmed most of them. So
just be looking for them.
Yes.
If you wanted to know what industrial maintenance look like or industrial instrumentation, hey, we've got it recorded and ready to roll.
Yes,
that's right.
And we already have one out. Mr. Jonathan Heim did one for our automotive program.
Did he? Awesome.
So
Charles Stevenson we're waiting for you to come on the show and talk to us all about these wonderful CTE opportunities
Absolutely.
in the industrial technology space. There are other opportunities in other spaces, but I'm calling you out, Charles. You need to be on the show, buddy.
Yes.
Sir.
I'm going to text you right now. Just kidding.
No, he's in West Monroe this morning. He's taking care of some business with his faculty.
Okay,
but,
we'll let him slide.
We'll let him slide this time, but
Yeah.
you got to get on the show, buddy.
All right.
Oh, that is all that we have for our upcoming events. And now we're going to slide into our feature section.
I'm starting to feel like Cameron just owns the show. I mean,
I'm
if you
not
think about news, in case you missed it, upcoming events, and whose voice do we hear? Cameron's voice.
That's great.
We should just, I'm saying, we should just take a vacation a little, like when her segments come on, we just go
sure
somewhere else.
can. There you go. It's
Yeah.
the Cameron Show.
Yeah, that's right.
Cameron
I'm
show.
fine with it.
All right. So next up on, we have our feature. I ran across this article this morning, and us being a community college, I wanted us to discuss this and just kind of put some thoughts out there about ways that you all think that we can help. This article came out, and the title of it is, "Here's Why Some Gen Z's Grads Face a Tough Employment Window." This was in one of our higher ed online publications.
Okay.
But the article talked about skepticism around hiring Gen Z graduates, and employers cited this sense of they have this sense of entitlement. In fact, they said that 6 in 10 employers say that the Gen Zers possess this trait. Another thing that they said, one of the biggest criticisms of Gen Z applicants was they struggle with eye contact and lack communication skills. In this article, they said that they asked for too much money, lack communication skills, aren't prepared, they don't ask questions, and they aren't engaged. Now, I don't fault anybody for asking for the money that they want, because you never know what answer you're going to get. And, so if it's too much, then you just negotiate to where, it's acceptable for
Right,
you.
that's just
so
business.
I don't discourage anyone for asking for what they want, because for sure, if you don't get it going in, you are not going to get it once you're hired.
Once you're got.
So,
Can we clarify something? So
look, get your money, man. Get your money, man. Get it, and I wouldn't be, I don't blame them for not being shy about, about asking for that.
yeah, first of all, Gen Z, according to one source, I think it's Beresford Research, says that they were born between 1997 and 2012. Cameron. Okay, is that you?
Yeah.
Okay, so this might be a little personal, right? So ages 12 to 27 is the age range that we're talking about currently, right now.
And they base these groupings on how old these generations are when they reach 18. So, so the Gen Zers, you said, are 2012 to
1997 to 2012.
1997 2012.
So, and then, so of course we get to play devil's advocate on the show, and I'm not in the Gen Z group. I'm a little too great for that. But I would argue that I feel like every generation probably asked for more money than the previous generation would have expected. Because hear me out. When I first got my first IT job, way long time ago, I'm not going to say the year, I assumed that coming out of school, I got a bachelor's degree, I paid all this money, I'm making minimum $40,000 easy as a green IT, person coming into the field. My first salary, I don't mind sharing this with everybody just because it's so sobering. My salary for a very reputable company that I thought at least was $27,000 a year.
Yeah.
I mean, it was chump
seriously,
change.
yes.
I mean, now what they got in return, however, was they got me who was willing to learn, but there was still a lot of things I needed to learn.
Exactly.
And they recognized that, because as soon as I got in there, they were like, "Oh boy, he's green. He
Yeah.
doesn't.
Yeah.
Let's hold his hand." They were kind of. I think there were moments where they felt like they made a mistake, maybe because there was really a lot of catching up I had to do, but they stuck with me, and I appreciate them for that, because I learned a lot
Evidently,
and I
you
grew.
must have proven that you were teachable, which means a lot. I
Oh,
mean,
that's
when
a-
you
that's
have
a
an-
great point.
When you have an attitude of being teachable, people
Yes.
will tend to teach you.
Mm-hmm.
How about that?
Yeah.
When I was in college, and this is when I was pursuing my undergrad degree, I had an instructor, and she's one of my speech teachers. And she just, I mean, she was so straightforward. She said, you all aren't going to be any good to any company that you go to work for at least a year. So they're having to, walk you through for a whole year before they start making, getting their investment, back from you. She said, and so don't think that when you graduate with your degree in hand that some company is just so fortunate to have you, because you have a lot to learn. And she said, and go in expecting to pay your dues. Now, the further back in generations you go, the stronger that mindset is about having to pay your dues. The more current you become with the generations, the less that is really adhered to.
Well, I
from
think
what I've observed, people don't. I mean, they're not coming out thinking they're going to pay their dues. But we didn't think we'd see the day either where you have, teenagers making an annual salary of $1 million or more playing video games and people watching them play. That's stuff that our parents would have said, get off of that game. You're not going to make a career. Right. You're not going to be able to make a career out of that.
Right.
But we're seeing careers being made with people doing things that we never thought that you could make money doing. So, kind of the question is the game changing? Are the rules still all applying?
I think the rules still apply, and here's why. You're always going to have gatekeepers, and it doesn't matter what the age is. Gatekeepers tend to remember what it was that they had to go through to get where they are, and consequently, they're not going to just say, look at you and say, "Oh, okay, you look smart, we're going to let you in, and here's all the money, by the way, the maximum salary you were asking for." Those gatekeepers are going to make you prove your worth to the company and organization. Now, we do get lulled into this idea that, I can be a YouTube star and instantly make billions and billions of dollars, but even that takes effort. That takes time. My son watches a ton of YouTubers, and they will eventually do a video that talks about their journey and maybe even their struggle.
Right.
And it's not always easy, and you have to be committed to the craft and you have to work at it. So everything, I think the bottom line is
grind.
Rise and grind. Everything takes effort, and I think what happens with the youth, and I'm going to say when I was young, I probably thought the same thing. Like this, it looks like so much fun. This should be easy. And then when you get into the workforce, you realize it's not as easy. Maybe the Gen Zers, what they're talking about is maybe have the gall to very confidently ask or request some of these things as opposed to not. But again, I think over time, it doesn't matter what the generation is, you realize very quickly that you're not going to just get what it is that you want. You have to work for it. And so I think that the survey is interesting. What we can do, of course, as you were trying to get to, as far as expectations and communication, is just set that. I try to share my story with my first job coming out with whoever's going to listen to it, so especially in the IT space with my IT students and my computer science students. Like, look, it's not what you think. You look online and it's telling you hundreds of thousands of dollars, is what the median salary is. That might be for an experienced professional in the field in Washington State or something, or New York State, but this is Louisiana. So there's just some different things you have to tell the students when you get a chance to interact with them, and then they get the idea.
I think that, also we have to, I think it's a good thing to share our experiences, because there is a knowledge gap between theory and experience.
Right.
And in their minds, it's all theory. I remember telling my grandsons, they're 11 and 9 right now, and this was probably a year ago, about when I was a teenager, when I got my first job. My mom gave me the water bill and the phone bill to pay as my responsibility to contribute to the house. I mean, she was single
Wait.
parenting.
Time out. So you got your first job,
16.
and then she immediately handed you some bills.
Yes, she did.
So was that making you think, should I just quit now?
No, I mean, no, because I understood she was a single parent, and me working helped to contribute to the house and made it easier for her. No, I mean, that was part of my upbringing. I mean, you were part of the house, you contributed. And my grandsons looked at me and said, Mimi, isn't that like child abuse? So from our experiences, we have to bridge where they are with reality, from our experience. And I think also too, encouraging our college students to become a part of those leadership organizations, like we were talking about last week, PTK.
Yeah.
And SGA. Those things. That way, they're practicing their communication skills. They're practicing learning how to work in a group,
Right.
and understanding representation of a thing. They're representatives of the school, and the responsibility that comes with that. But as a community college, I think that we are ripe to be able to influence those students in that way, to help them to become better prepared, so that when they do meet their employers, they are better prepared and they won't leave them with this impression.
Right. And
with
Gen Zer,
yeah,
you have something to
gotta
say.
represent the generation, I guess. So with all of these issues that we're talking about, I think instant gratification plays the biggest role in this through just kind of the new culture that is surrounded by social media and cell phones. It's kind of like winning the lottery every time you open Instagram. You're always going to get something new and different. And so with that instant gratification, I feel like it's not instilled in a lot of people in our generation, that you have to work for what you want. And so whenever I was growing up, I got my first job at 14. And then 15 years old, I started working at, kind of the 14 job was like a part-time job. 15 years old, I started working a full-time job in the summers, and I was charged with saving up money to buy my own car, but it was my mom's old car. But they still said that I had to save up the money to buy it from them. So with that, and different other things that they, not made me pay for, but, charged me with paying for, instilled that kind of sense of responsibility. But I still struggle with social media addiction, and wanting what I want right now. And so being self-aware about that, which I feel like a lot of the generation is becoming self-aware of, kind of just with the joke of like the iPad kid, we're all iPad kids. I carry my phone around watching Netflix while I'm doing laundry, and because you want that instant gratification. Then you have an attention span problem, and you're like, can't focus on one thing for more than a certain amount of time, which really affects work ethic. So I think with those issues in mind, just with the culture of how we have such a focus on social media and cell phones, I think the problem a lot starts at home, just depending how much you let your kid have screen time and things like that. And then also at the community college level, while we want to focus on technology because that's what the world is revolved around, maybe there's also a chance to learn in a way that's less technology focused, so that people can get those communication skills. I remember doing group projects in college where we would have a group project and it was horrible. We hated it. This is going to be a group project. Oh my gosh. Like, I don't want to do that. I don't want to talk to people I don't know. I don't want to have to collaborate with them in any way because you don't trust people. I mean, you really don't. And so, people are just trying to get it as done as fast as possible with a passing grade. No one's trying to do their best work. So I don't know. I think it's kind of, there needs to be more of a focus on just looking inward with a lot of people.
Well, and then you bring that to work, to whatever job that you have. All of those ideologies you bring, and those behaviors you bring to work. That social media addiction thing, it isn't just Gen Zers. I think that's just people.
The
period.
algorithm
Yeah.
knows all and can hook us
It
all.
does. It does.
And it's so much content.
It's
And it's
never ending.
endless. Yeah, I was gonna say.
It's
Content.
never ending. It really is, and that, I mean, is affecting us all, like you said.
It is.
So yeah, I don't have any concrete solutions, but it really is self-reflection and being self-aware. What am I doing right now? How am I spending my time efficiently? Am I just scrolling? I mean, because I could do that for hours.
Yeah, you really could. I mean, you really, really could.
Yeah. So I do think that with Gen Z growing up in this generation and noticing their addictions to technology, they are making decisions on how to raise their kids in a more healthy way. Not dogging on our parents or anything. It's a bunch of new technology coming in at once. That's,
Yeah.
nobody knew what to do.
Yeah.
Nobody knew what limitations that needed to be set on that, but just learning through that generational, experience. I think that people are making more decisions to do the hard thing and raise their kids, without as much screen time and without that instant gratification.
Yeah, I know my grandgirls get screen time only when they're at my house on Sundays, and they don't get a chance to have it at home, and that's intentional.
Yes.
My daughter-in-law with my grandsons will give the boys, like an hour a day of screen time, and then that's it. So yeah, you're right. You all are parenting in a different way than what we had to, and probably even what you're having to, just because, the evolution of these things is just, it's off the charts. It's so much coming at you, so many platforms at one time. A while ago there was, what was it, MySpace, and, it was like,
You went way back.
one or two platforms, but now it's like, oh my gosh.
And it's a focus problem. I can, scroll on my phone while watching TV, while having a conversation with someone else.
Yeah, that
That's
amazes me.
crazy.
When my kids can do that, and I'm thinking, are you actually listening to me? And they kind of can, but they kind of can't.
Yeah.
I still don't believe in multitasking in the sense that you can
I was
actually
gonna
do two
say,
things at once.
I just read an article about that this one scientist said that there is no one can truly multitask. You cannot do two things at one time and be focused.
But you
on
can
it.
switch very quickly. Is
And
the
that's what
idea.
they
Yeah.
said. It's more
Yeah.
like windows. You let one window up, pull one window down. Let another window up, pull your window down. So you're going in between windows and not actually having simultaneous windows up.
Yeah,
Right.
but let's talk about specific things that the community college can do though
Yes.
to benefit this,
To
right? Because we
solutions.
definitely see the issues, and one of the things talks about eye contact and lack of communication skills, and with the prevalence of online schooling, sometimes it makes it even harder. But trying to engage students to come on campus, to be more interactive, to be social. We are slowly but surely making more opportunities. I keep thinking about the chancellor's. One of his major initiatives when he came aboard was, he said, I want to have an esports club. I want to have, and then there's a gaming room now. There's been the anime
It's pretty
club for so long.
impressive, too.
Yeah. National Society of Leadership and Success, it's all about getting together and learning the ideology of leadership and teamwork and self-development. So again,
Yes.
these clubs that we talk about, clubs and organizations, are a big part of that. And just, the simple act of advising even, when you have to sit across the table from a faculty member who is many years older than you and hold that conversation. And there's some students that you can tell are uncomfortable when they're doing that. But they go through it and they do it. It's like just stepping out and getting the practice, And then of course again, it's just practice. I'm just going to end it with that. It's practicing what some people call soft skills, what some people call essential skills in the
Yes.
business world. You need that, and you need to practice it as often as you can. And that means stepping out of your comfort zone sometimes to do just that.
And forcing yourself
Yeah.
to. Even Friday, I went, to one of our vendors that we use locally, and it was just like, my first instinct is like, oh my gosh, being thrown out to the wolves, like going to these I've never met these people in person, but then you have to look at it as an opportunity. And meeting people, can be scary at first, and like looking in the eye and, making that first impression, but you have to step out of yourself and make it about them. If someone was coming to you to introduce themselves for the first time, how would you make it an experience for them? If you put the focus on them, you're not overthinking about what you're doing. So that's one thing, learning like with this new position is, you're going to meet a lot of people when you start a new job. And I think a lot of people aren't prepared for that. Maybe they don't think about that. So meeting those new people, and like you said, practicing. Every time you meet someone, it's a practice. And you're going to get better and better each time. And also with solutions, with the community college, I think we as community college creating those opportunities for social interaction, even with class. Maybe in class, like having some extra time, because people don't talk before class anymore. Have y'all noticed that? That it can be
No, I have
silent.
not. Yeah.
And because people used to, talk before class started, and the teacher has to be like, okay, everybody quiet. But my last couple of years of college, nobody
no
would
one
be talking.
interacted? Wow.
It would just be like quiet, and then the teacher would come in and start class. So, just like also considering, hey, maybe I'm the person who starts the chat, or maybe I'm the person who's, introduces myself to the person next to me.
That's always been me. So that's never been. I've always
You
been
don't
a talker.
even have to think about
I
it.
know. I was just going. Yeah, you're right. I think too when we, when you're advising or we come into contact with students, helping them to connect the dots when they do something well. We say, I noticed that you did this thing. That's really going to help you when you move out into the work environment and even into your other relationships in life, because that will help you, do this or be this or open doors this way or that way. And even when they don't do something well, you can gently encourage them and say, as I noticed that you're a little hesitant and a little shy, as you move out into the workplace, try to practice, overcoming that or finding ways to work through that so that as you move out into the marketplace to look for a job or, to interview, people will see the true beauty of your personality and what you bring to the table, because that you're allowing them to see you. So you want to communicate. You want to show that you're interested, because they can think that you're not interested.
Right.
Because you're just being shy. So, if you need to find whatever coping skills to be able to get through it, do the work and push through it so that they can see you.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that. I will make sure I tell my students when we have those advising sessions just what you said. Like, give them the encouragement.
Yeah.
Say, hey, good job. This was good. You might not think anything of it, but this is a skill that's necessary. Let's communicate.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. So I think no matter, it doesn't matter if you're an instructor, or a front desk receptionist. I mean, we all can play a part in helping to nurture and prepare our students for success.
Professor Kwashiorkor chimes in on the chat. He says there's also a strong feeling against the fear of failure. So there's in the generation, a lot of us have that.
I was about to say, we all feel
but
that.
he feels like in his experience, students don't want to fail, and if I don't try, or if I don't even step into the ring to communicate or do whatever it is,
Then you can't fail.
Then you can't fail.
Right.
Yeah.
And I can't say something stupid as well. So yeah, that's definitely something that I've seen students just really get hush and I'm like, why are you why are you timid? And I think that JJ says Professor Kwashiorkor, I should say, makes a good point there.
Yeah, he does. I mean, I see that even in my 4-year-old granddaughter, when she struggles with anything in the slightest, how she begins to have a meltdown. And I have intentionally started having conversations with her about in life, you're going to have hard things that you're going to have to face. Everything won't be easy.
Yeah.
There's some things that you will learn in your classroom that will be hard to learn.
And you will fail.
And you will fail, and it's okay.
It's inevitable.
It's okay for things to be hard, because when you face hard things and you keep trying and trying and trying, and to a 4-year-old, this is the language, and you
Right.
keep trying and trying, when you finally give it your best, when you've reached a point where this is your best, you will have grown. And you'll be better facing the next hard thing. And so I think that we do have some generations of students and of people who don't cope with failure well. They don't know how to cope with failure. And I've heard it said that, my generation raised kids of, everything that they did was great. And so when they got out into the workforce, and they found out that they weren't, in fact, great. They struggle with it. So now I'm trying to correct that with the grandchildren. I mean, when we play games, I play to win, and it's like you got to step your game up. I'm not gonna let you win. You're gonna have to earn this win.
No participation.
Yeah,
trophies.
and so I am a lot more truthful with grands. I scoop them up and love them afterwards, but I was like, baby, that needs some work. But that's okay. We're gonna work on it.
Yeah.
We're gonna work on
With
it
love, right?
with love.
Love.
Michael Jackson, with love. It's all love. It's all love.
All right.
All right. So Ryan,
Lou,
Oh, we got a little bit of history.
we're doing a little bit of history.
little Black History Month.
I did not think you could dance to that, but Cameron, you did it anyway.
She found a way
Cameron
to
finds
do
a way.
it. She found a way. So February is Black History Month. And I know there are a lot of ways that people are choosing to celebrate it. They celebrate by having parades, by, focusing intentionally on the successes of different African Americans. I remember when I was growing up, we learned about Black history all year round. I went to a predominantly Black school. And so, it wasn't just a specific month out of the year that we focused on those things. And it was, of course, I'm 55. So back when I was in elementary school, my teachers were probably, I don't know, they seemed ancient to me then. I don't know how old they were. I can't accurately go back in my mind and really kind of pinpoint it. But they looked, from what I remember, they were older. But anyways, they had so much pride in the accomplishments of our ancestors, and it showed, because when they taught about different figures, they did it like they were talking about their sons or their daughters. It was that much pride. And so I grew up with that. Now, my kids were born and raised here in Monroe, and they went to a private Christian school until they reached high school. They didn't have that experience. I remember when Black history, when they became aware enough, and we got to February and they started hearing about Black History Month, and they didn't know different prominent figures in Black history. My husband and I had this conversation. It was like, we are failing, because we took it for granted because that was our upbringing, that it would naturally be our kids upbringing too. We learned it in school, but we also did learn it at home,
Right.
because our parents were not that far off of some deeper struggles.
Exactly.
And so it was a little more, it was a lot more close to us than it was with our kids. But I remember going to the library and getting books and coming home and letting them read out loud. And we did the whole group thing. And we talked about different Black men and women who had done great things, and so that they can begin to have an appreciation for their history and their culture. And that was something that we had to become intentional about, because we couldn't take it for granted that they were getting that at school. And then, as Lawrence and I discussed it at home, we thought our parents didn't leave it to our school to teach us. We learned those things at home. And so, that was part of our parenting that we had to catch up to and correct in our kids' upbringing. So I don't know what.
It's
what your
it's kind of the
experience
same for us. I think the further away you are generationally, this is again going back to generations, right? From certain types of struggle, then it just doesn't dawn on you the same way that there's a history there.
Yeah.
And it needs to be we need to celebrate all of the accomplishments that our forefathers and our ancestors came to bear, so that we could have it easier or better and see a different path. And so, just like you, we may have it in the back of our minds, these things happen because our parents taught us about it, or because we heard about it in school, but we may forget to verbalize to our kids, and
Right.
successive generations.
Yeah.
No, you need to know about
Yeah.
this person or that person. Don't leave it to chance. Don't leave it to social media. Don't leave it to television, even though I do want to point out that I don't remember what network it is, but I want to say February 1st, there was a premiere of a series on Malcolm X and Martin Luther King. I don't remember what network it is, but it was very well done, and it's continuing on. I think it's once a week. They're
You're gonna have
showing
to
this.
tell me about that,
Yeah,
'cause
I don't
I'd
even
really
have
like
the
to
name
see
of it,
that.
but I remember flipping the channels, and all of a sudden I said, "Oh, this is really gripping and captivating, and I'm interested." And I'm not one to watch a lot of TV, but that, for whatever reason, was
I like
just,
documentary stuff.
yeah, it was good, and it was like a made-for-TV drama, so it's
Oh, wow.
almost like a movie,
Wow.
So it was really good, and there's going to be a continuation, I think, of that same deal. So anyway, but that's getting off the topic of we shouldn't leave it to television to tell the story, basically. But
Right.
we need to be
We
speaking
need
to
to
these
be
things.
intentional, which comes back to
the house.
the point of Black history. As an adult, I've faced the own question in my mind of, why do we have to have a time set aside that's dedicated to Black History Month? And then, I always came back around to, it's kind of like tradition. I mean, you carry on traditions because you have the pride of belonging to a certain group, to a certain lineage, and you should. The family that you were born into, or the one that you claim, I mean, you have pride in belonging. People used to, take pride in saying, you're a Jones, you don't do this because you're a Parker,
Uphold the family name.
don't bring shame on the family, you uphold it. And so it's that same thing culturally, so that's, and there's a pride associated with what happens in your culture and the great things that have come through people who were a part of your culture. And so that's why we need to celebrate and not forget, because as time goes on, if you don't talk about it, if you don't bring those family stories forward, if you don't bring those cultural stories forward, people forget. People forget. And so February is set aside to celebrate Black History Month. And there are themes that this one organization pushes out nationally for Black History Month. And this year's theme is surrounded around the arts. So it's celebrating Blacks in the arts. So
All right.
that is our little bit of history.
Fabulous. And now we're going to Let Me Tell You.
All right. So, I'm going to do the Let Me Tell You this time, just because concurrent with the Momentum Summit, which is February 7th and 8th this week. One of my, I mean, I always take pride when I talk about my faculty. And so one of my own, Professor Penny Warner, she has been doing some excellent things. Now, just to give you a little backstory, she is in the CIS, Computer Information Systems, IT, Cloud Computing area of the division. And she is one that is very, like, she's a go-getter. She's very thorough about everything that she does. She's very thoughtful and intentional, and I always feel like I'm learning from all my faculty, and she's one that I've learned a lot from. Just don't leave any stone unturned. Just take care of business and do it right the first time. And so I really appreciate her for that. Well, her efforts, she's always been a kind of a CTE. She's been working in that space. She's been a liaison. In the state, people look to her, especially for cloud computing expertise, how to teach it. And that's been that way for a couple of years, but now it's a little more official. So she's been working with Ann Zanders of LCTCS, who has a leading role in the CTE space for the LCTCS. And Penny is now, or Professor Warner, I should say, is now designated as the cluster manager for the professional learning community in IT for the LCTCS system. So I'm excited for her and her role.
That is awesome. Congratulations, Penny.
Yes, she oversees program career clusters and initiatives in cybersecurity, cloud computing, IT, and so on. So she's very, just giving guidance as to where we are and what we should be doing to make sure that our students are coming out with the proper learning outcomes. They're skilled, and if there's something that they are deficient in, how to fill the void for them. So very happy about that. And then because of that, there is a CTE conference all by itself on February 8th and down in Baton Rouge at the same time as the Momentum Conference. And it's supposed to, that Louisiana CTE Summit is supposed to gather all of the professionals in secondary and post-secondary education, network directly with employers about today and tomorrow's workforce needs and how education can better prepare learners. So hopefully she'll come back. She'll come back home and, of course, help us to do a better job at LDCC, but then she'll also end up sharing that information to the learning community and the learning professionals across the state as well, those who could not make it to the summit. So I'm of course, I'm extremely proud of her and happy that she's on the team. And we look forward to her bringing back some good information.
Way to represent, Penny.
Yes, ma'am.
Congratulations to you.
Yeah, that's Let Me Tell You, because not a lot of people know, that's the whole point of this segment. I'm just going to remind everybody again. The whole point of this segment is to, uncover the jewels that we maybe are not aware of, the diamonds in the rough, however you want to call that. We need to make sure we're spotlighting all of our people, faculty and staff, for all the wonderful things that they're doing. And so it's your opportunity. Deans, managers, if you supervise anybody, be thinking about the story and then pass it along to us so that we can tell it.
Absolutely. Now we have our Monday morning motivation.
And this week, all right, our Monday morning motivation is coming from Ryan.
Whoa!
Yeah, it's kind of crazy because every time I think about this segment, we do things that are, ones to grow on, like that, that afternoon, after school special type of stuff. Sometimes we do. But I had been thinking about this topic for a while, and so I'm just going to start it like this, Then we'll get to the actual topic since y'all didn't tease it, which is good. There are plenty of words in the English language, of course, that catch fire for a period of time. They see an increased use and recognition. They become buzzwords in popular culture and even take a life of their own right, by they're given additional descriptors or even redefined. And I'm teasing a word that can sometimes make people get excited, but that other times makes people cringe. Can you guess what that word is? All right. The word is affirmation. Okay. Now I know before I lose the whole audience, just hear me out. Hear me out. The affirmation is the word we're talking about today. Have you heard of this word? Have y'all heard of this word?
Yes.
Okay, good. Now, if you ask some people who have some years on them, that would be just me, because that y'all don't count, right? They may think back to a hilarious Saturday Night Live character, Stuart Smalley. Do you remember this? And the skit where he says, "I'm good enough. I'm smart enough.
Yes.
And doggone it, people like me."
Yes.
Right. Now we'll have to play that one for you,
Yeah.
Cameron, because it was really hilarious.
Yes.
And that can be what people think of sometimes when they hear the word affirmation. It may be something silly or comical. It may be something that people feel like has no basis in reality. Maybe an ineffective or uninformed practice of wishful thinking or woo-woo positive self-talk, right? All those things that, people are like, oh, let's not even talk about this, right? But what was interesting was I started digging a little bit because I felt like there's got to be more to this affirmation thing than just this ethereal type of ideology that some people would say has no basis in real science or real results, right? Mm-hmm. And some people will tell you that they've tried affirmations and they say, well, I don't know, it hasn't worked for me or whatever. So let's explore the word and related terms, maybe put it into some modern context and look at the science. So first, if I say the word mantra, what does that make you think of? If I say the word mantra.
But your like a hard, fast belief, your platform, your stage.
Like a chant, like a slogan.
Okay. That's good. That's good. So I like both of those. Now, historically, we can relate affirmations to the close cousin, the mantra, which are religious or mystical, sometimes symbols and poems that are repeated or chanted during meditation, like you said. When we think of the mantra or meditative chant, we may envision, nobody get upset with me, you may envision, maybe bald men dressed in loose-fitting garments, sitting cross-legged, invocating like a Buddhist mantra, right? That's some people think that, and actually I was looking this up yesterday, and the most popular Buddhist mantra is Om Mani Padme Hum. Now, I've never actually
heard
I know I've never actually chanted that, but that is, and it has its own significance there. There's religious or spiritual significance assigned to this type of practice. However, we don't have to necessarily travel to the Asian continent to experience mantra or to kind of think of something that could be one. We can consider, if we're going to keep it in the theological sense, we can consider prayers and popular Christian scripture. If we're going to keep it there, think of Psalm 23. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside the still waters. He restoreth my soul. He leadeth me in paths of righteousness for his name's sake. And then, of course, the thing that verse 4, everybody knows, yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will feel no evil, for thou art with me, and thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. And it goes on a little bit further. So sometimes we will say that type of thing, right? That mantra or that affirmation, if you will, that the Lord is with me. We will say that to ourselves in times of struggle or need. The Our Father could also be considered a similar mantra or affirmation that we would say. Now, can you think of any mantras outside of religious context that we might say in the United States?
In God we trust. Well, I guess that's religious too.
Right. It's a phrase.
Remember that? I can't think of the name, but God bless America and nobody else.
You're thinking of a movie. Oh my gosh. You're thinking of Head of State, Chris Rock. Okay.
Head of State, that's what that was. God bless it. That was funny.
Oh man, that's hilarious.
Okay.
All right,
but seriously.
But we'll move away from theology and go into a secular discussion. We might say that the Pledge of Allegiance, although not said regularly in elementary schools like it was when we were growing up,
Right.
Could be considered a mantra of sorts and an affirmation of our national pride and respect for our flag and country and a symbol of patriotism. So again, that's just that's an option there. Now, this brings us to the word affirmation, which can be defined as an assertion that something is true. So the definition, affirmation is assertion of something that is true. It can also mean to make steady or strengthen. Now, the standard affirmation in our modern times refers to usually personal well-being, growth, and success, usually consisting of words or phrases intended to cultivate an individual's holistic view of themselves in a positive light. So now the question becomes, how many thoughts do you think the average human being thinks in a day? How many thoughts do you think the
10,000.
average?
Good scruples question.
Ooh, right. It varies depending on what resource you're looking at. We'll just say on average. What do you think? You said 10,000. What do you
Yeah.
think?
Thoughts a day, I don't know. I probably think it might be a little higher. I mean, people, we
Yeah.
think a lot.
So it depends, but anywhere
Say
between
20, 30.
some say 65, some say 90,000.
Oh my
right?
goodness.
But so we'll say the brain averages
Drastically under.
right about 70,000 thoughts each day. Most
Wow.
of these thoughts are automatic though. Impulses ranging from basic life function, so it might be like subconscious thoughts, in other words, to impulsively recounting memories and things like that. We just have things that go through our head. We might think of our favorite music at a moment, then that switches to something else, and so on.
Right.
However, we also participate in conscious thinking about everything from careers to family to self-worth and so on. Now, here's the kicker, and this is why I really got interested in as I was reading up. We're also exposed to others' views and opinions of not only themselves, but the world around them as they perceive it. And sometimes the expression of those thoughts from others both can either positively or negatively influence our self-perception. Okay, so we have these other we have our own talk, our own self-talk. Then we
Right.
have others that are kind of, whether they mean to or not, giving us some of their own messaging as well.
Right.
And I found it interesting that the practice of affirmation had been studied by neuroscientists for a few decades, believe it or not. They've been going on for a while.
Wow.
One study published in the Journal of Social, Cognitive, and Affective Neuroscience, that's a lot to say, and I'm not a neuroscientist, in April 2016, reminds us that there's an actual theory called self-affirmation theory. That's number one. There's a theory, and that theory posits that, number one, people are generally motivated to maintain a positive self-view. That's interesting. People are generally motivated to maintain a positive self-view according to self-affirmation theory. And number two, threats to perceived self-competence are met with resistance through the help in the practice of affirmations.
No one wants to see themselves in a bad light, and we will fight at all cost through our
So-
pride to refute
Yes.
anything that disagrees with that, which makes self-analyzation a challenge.
Now, but basically, the practice we speak of acts as a buffer to not only our own negative perspectives of ourselves, but to the unsavory opinions we might hear from others that are directed towards us.
Yep.
So that's an interesting note. The practice presents benefits across threatening situations. Affirmations can decrease stress and increase well-being according to the science. Self-affirmations are acts that affirm one's self-worth, often by having individuals reflect on core values, which may give individuals a broader view of the self. And this, in turn, can allow individuals to move beyond specific threats to self-integrity and self-confidence. All right, so the study, and then we'll pause for a second. The study used magnetic resonance imaging to examine participants who were affirmed. Okay, so MRI, and it looked at, I'm gonna get a little sciencey on y'all, medial prefrontal cortex and posterior cingulate cortex. And all. What that means, right? What that means is the MRI looked at key regions of the brain and focused on decision making, self-perception, emotional processing, and social cognition. So we're making the case for self-affirmations and their positive impact on our lives. And I would like to propose that there are multiple ways one can affirm themselves, okay? But let's talk about the classic way. Can you think of any examples of classic verbal affirmations? Here you go. Should I pause? I can't even. I don't know what's going on.
Cameron, can you?
Yes, for sure. That's hilarious.
One classic verbal. Hair went through the shot.
All right. Well, it's just us now.
Where did she
We have to have like a code, like symbol or something that says this.
We need a space because she.
I don't think.
The camera in their hair
I
went
think
through.
this topic may be a little too tough for our fearless leader to talk about. So.
I mean, anyway, some classic verbal affirmations.
Like, is there anything that you tell yourself that, or maybe you've heard other people try to invoke?
Yes.
At some
I've
point?
heard a lot of people affirm kind of success, like
that's a good one.
saying like I am successful, I am valuable, just kind of insert
Yeah.
adjective here. I am blank.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly. I think the classic verbal affirmations might be success and abundance. I'm successful in all areas of my life.
Right.
Abundance flows into my life effortlessly. Again, we're going to talk about more than just the classic affirmations here, but these are some of them. How about some to relieve stress and to calm yourself down? Like, I'm calm and centered in the face of
Everything's
challenges.
okay.
Right, everything's okay. I
Yeah.
release tension and embrace tranquility, that kind of thing. You may have affirmations that relate to specific goals, like I'm achieving my goals with ease every day.
Yep.
I am attracting success and opportunities into my career. Notice the I am and the present tense of it all, but then a focus on the future as
Yes.
well. Health and well-being. My body is healthy and my mind is strong. I am grateful for the energy and vitality within me, etc. And it goes on and on, right? We've heard these. Generally speaking, why don't you just walk back in? Like, like let's just. I feel like let's just not hide it. Come on back. Well, she's decided to stay off camera. Okay. This is practice apparently, because in a week or so she's not going to be here.
Yep, she's
So-
visiting us.
So we'll fix these statements, but maybe if there's some proof that we can join with those statements that we've accomplished before, that can make it even stronger. So like, let's say you had a difficult, you're trying to find success in your career currently, and I know I can do this. I am successful, etc. But you're really not believing it. Well, when were you successful? Maybe
Right.
when you were writing, when you were in college and, you had to stay up and pull an all-nighter for an exam the next day and you made a B on the exam or an A or something like that. I mean, that's not the best example, but it's the idea that you have overcome challenges in the past and you need to try to sometimes, if you're not believing what you're saying, to then affirm that
With
statement
proof.
with the proof that you have done this before. And, even if you can't see it now, it's possible, right? And of course, feeling the emotions with accomplishing the goal. Okay, so that's the general. If you're still with me, viewing audience, that's affirmations like 101 that we've talked about that everybody knows. Everybody has heard of this stuff before, whether you agree with it or not. But I'll say, I think there's also something to the sense of something I want to call reflective affirmations, okay? Which we do, but we probably don't think of it as an affirmation. So the above statements, the statements we're talking about, of course, were present and future oriented, but what about reflecting on things that we've done in the past that may be helping us do what we're doing in the present moment, kind of like what we were talking about a minute ago. So let's just give an example. Some of us are working towards a goal, but we may feel like we're progressing too slowly. And as a student, maybe, I'm just going to give a student example, maybe we have a big report due for our history class. So we lament on the progress because we only have 3 sentences that have been written for a 3-page paper. And it's due like in 2 days, right?
That is a hard place to be.
Woo. Now, as silly as it sounds, I know this sounds silly, but 3 sentences is better than none. And now, but wait, it gets better. Moreover, the thought is that if you have 3 sentences, you probably have at least been thinking about the paper a little bit, right? We're going to count that as a win. You probably have a title, or you're close to a title for your paper. You've likely created the Microsoft Word document. You've likely saved the file. So if your computer crashes, you can go back and get to it, to your computer or USB drive or cloud source. You've done some things, right? So it's going back and it kind of speaks to some things that we've talked about before in this segment, is counting the wins, right? What have I done that actually has benefited me? I may
How
not
far
be
have I come?
right. Exactly. How far have I come? I may not be in the place that I want to be,
Right.
but I'm still not. I'm better off than if I would have done nothing. So then we take it to like, we all have. I think I'm saying we all. Most of us are trying to do better for our health in the new year, right? And so we're probably trying to eat better. And we want to get ready for the summer swimsuit season and all these different things. But we recognize that we've fallen off the wagon a few times in the month of January, right? Dietary plan limits us from our favorite snacks and treats, but we've given in to our cravings a few times. Well, we can think of it from the opposite perspective. You know where I'm going with this. If you had not embarked upon the mission to change your eating, would anything have changed? If you look at the previous year, 2023, when you didn't have this thing that you were trying to do, this goal in mind, you may have eaten a bowl of ice cream at midnight 365 nights a year. But now it's January, and maybe you've fallen off the wagon half the time. So instead of eating the bowl of ice cream 30 or so, 31 days out of that January, you maybe only ate it 15, right? So you're still better off than where you were if you had not tried it at all. What about the gym membership that you purchased, where you were going to be maybe at the gym 3 times a week? Right. And then
Turns out you're going once a month.
Right.
Yeah.
But instead of 3 times a week, which might have been 12 times total, you might have only gone 4 times in the whole month, maybe on a Saturday when it was convenient. But maybe you walked a few days in the neighborhood. Again, you're counting the wins because you've done more than what you would have had you not even attempted, right? So that's a way of affirming yourself as well. And then lastly, I'm going to pose this, and then we do need our fearless leader to come back on camera for just a second after that to close out the show. I'm thinking, unless you want us to close it out, affirmation through action, okay? So consider this. Consider affirming yourself through something that you like to do, like a favorite hobby. What's your favorite hobby, Cameron?
Oh, my goodness. Art.
Sorry, I put you on the spot.
It's okay.
Is it like you're painting on a canvas?
Drawing.
Or you're drawing, okay. So if there's something you like to do, something that brings you joy, something that you might feel like you're pretty good at, or you just want to do just because, right? Mm-hmm. That's a way of affirming yourself, because now you're saying, I find success and happiness in this, right? And usually affirmations are all about trying to make yourself feel as if you have your self-worth and your self-confidence, you want to make that go up. Mm-hmm. And so doing, maybe participating in your hobbies, doing things that bring joy to yourself, but maybe you can do something that brings joy to others and in turn brings joy to yourself as well. You've seen that as well. Mm-hmm. So that's a way of affirming yourself and your self-worth. There are other things we can consider, such as acts of self-affirmation, because we reintroduce ourselves to our strengths and our core values, reaffirming self-worth and direction. So I just wanted to give those as options. It doesn't have to be just the positive self-talk, but I would argue that affirmations are valuable overall because they create that buffer for us to insulate us from ourselves and our own negative self-talk sometimes, as well as the negative talk of others towards us. And again, we all want to live better, more productive, healthier, happier lives. And this could indeed, in these various ways, allow us to do that. And that's the Monday morning motivation / things to think of, or things to think about, points to ponder, etc. So
absolutely. And I think, there's a lot of value in talking positively about yourself, because negative self-talk, that is draining. And if you don't believe in yourself, or even fake believing in yourself, you're not truly being productive. And, sometimes even if you don't feel that way, saying those things out loud can help you start to believe it. Especially if your affirmation is something someone else has said about you, remembering the compliments that you've received in your life, or like past successes, like we talked about, so that you can kind of get out of that dark place. So I think there's a lot of value in the science of affirmation.
Yeah, there we go, right?
A lot of science in this MMM.
Yeah, exactly. Well, hey, it's the academic in me, I guess, trying to go there with it. As Darian looks at me like, All right, but anyway, that's usually the last segment that we have to give. So I guess we've had a good time, and we always think we're never going to go long. And this episode was just chock full of things to talk about.
Yep.
I'm glad for those that joined us in the first half. You caught up on all the news and events and the things you may have missed. That was great. And then we got into the other more philosophical pieces and historical elements. And so that was great too. I enjoyed that a whole bunch. So I'm Ryan Pierce, and this is
Cameron Price.
Cameron Price. And our fearless leader is off screen, but she waves bye to everyone as well.
She says peace.
We'll see you next Monday.
Y'all have a great week.
Bye-bye.